don't really...
Now.
Okay, can everybody hear me? I would kindly invite everybody to take your seats because we shall be starting within 1 minute. We are fixing some
10 minutes.
Technical problems with the voice, and immediately once we are going to resolve it, we are going to kickstart the live session. So I would like everybody to be seated so that we can also honor both our panelists who are here at the stage, but also everybody who will be tuning in online very shortly with us. So I'm waiting for the secretariat from the very back of the room to give me a heads on when we can actually start. So there we go. Hello and welcome to everybody. Dobrodošli u Sarajevo. This reminds me very much of the welcoming words that were used some decades ago for the Olympic Games that were taking place in this magnificent city and beautiful country. Welcome to this extraordinary event organized by the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe Party and the Liberal Network of Southeast Europe. I say it's historic because it is the first public political debate within the framework of the Conference on the Future of Europe that the ALDE party is organizing, and it is taking place here in Sarajevo. The first event takes place outside of the borders of the European Union. It just sends a strong political message and signal by the liberals of Europe how they envision the future of our continent. It is also very symbolic that this first town hall event carries the name of the late President Hans van Baalen, who sadly passed away a few months ago, surprising us all and breaking our hearts. And allow me to be emotional today when I'm going to chair and moderate this event by honoring his name, a great liberal, a great European, a visionary man, a man who actually loved this region, who would have never missed an opportunity whenever he was invited to come to Southeast Europe, to the Western Balkans, to come in person. A man who has often said that he has served in the forces of his country in Bosnia and Herzegovina and carried part of his life here. A man who believed that this part of Europe actually belongs to the joint common European family. In honor of his name, we are going to have a number of political debates in the coming months. I'm not going to talk much because there is so much to say. I would like to start at the very beginning by inviting the acting co-president of the ALDE party, Ilhan Kyuchyuk, to say a few words of welcome. Ilhan, you're more than welcome.
Order is to start from here, and if you allow me, I would like to continue with Emil's introductory remarks and to say Dobar den, drago mi je da sme ovde with some local language, but ladies and gentlemen, it's a serious discussion about the future of European Union because we have to transform European Union into modern democracy. A lot of things in Europe are not functioning, and we need to find a way to engage citizens and to offer them better opportunities when it comes to their engagement into democracy. We talk about Europe being global power, but before being global power, we have to get rid of the so-called vetocracy, where everybody has the right to veto. A country like Cyprus can veto Belarus, and this can block the whole idea of Europe playing an important role at the global stage. The recent health crisis just shown us how important it is to coordinate our systems. I'm not going to say that we're going to integrate everything from day now, but if we start coordinating just principle, basic techniques of our system, we can achieve much more. And of course, we liberals care about that. We care about unity. We care about how we see our future. And this future is mainly belongs to the next generation. I do agree that we have to reform this Europe, but also I want to take the opportunity to have our vision and to speak about the Europe of next generations. And the Europe of next generations is certainly belonging to the people with courage, with potential, but also to people coming from Western Balkans. Because there is a clear proof that Balkan values are European values, and European values are Balkan values. And there is no controversiality We belong to the European Union. I want to see, and I'm that proud that we who took this initiative to start the political debates in the name of Hans van Baalen today in Sarajevo, and to build the future Europe, the Europe of next generation, the Europe with Western Balkans taking an important and integral part. As Hans was saying, the good speech, Emil, is the short speech. So with that, I would like to stop. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ilhan. And as this event takes place here in the Western Balkans, in the Southeast Europe, ALDE party co-organizes together this event with the Liberal Network of Southeast Europe. And I'm delighted to welcome to the stage Roman Yakich, chairman of Lipsin, former Minister of Defense of Slovenia, former Member of Parliament of Slovenia, a person who puts his heart first for the region, and then sometimes even more than for his own country, to say a few words of welcome.
Good evening to everybody. Thank you very much, Emil. First, I would like to thank people from ALDE Party and Lipsin and Nasha Stranka for making this important event possible, among them especially the Ilhan, Kate, Daniel from ALDE, and Nihat, Jasmina, Goran, and Emil from Lipsin side. In the beginning of 2000, I participated on the EU Future of Europe debate. Slovenia was in doorstep to join the EU as one of the first countries from the post-communist southeast of Europe. In that time, I, being non-member of EU, felt fully included in the debate. As a young member of parliament, I was by in that time Liberal President of European Parliament, Pat Cox, invited together with my colleagues from other candidate states to participate in the work of the European Parliament, fully and equally. Unfortunately, I regret that today this is not the case. The 1990 Paris Charter slogan was Europe whole and free. That provokes a wide-ranging discussion about the meaning of the phrase and how to implement it. 31 years later, the great challenges remain the same. Should the EU become a closer supranational union, or maybe a federation, or should it stick to its traditional concept emphasizing national sovereignty and intergovernmental operation? There was a lot of soul searching in the recent years in the relation between the EU and the Western Balkans. In the absence of credible political will to take enlargement and reform process forward, we were faced with an array of the new initiatives, forms, tools, mechanisms, instruments which were designed just to keep the fire alive. Debate on the future of Europe brought new dynamics into the whole relationship. For us liberals, it's almost impossible to foresee a consolidated, stable and sustainable European future without the Western Balkans. Although Western Balkans is back on the agenda of the EU, there is still a question mark how to make Western Balkans a strategic priority number one for the European Union. While we are debating regarding the best way forward in the enlargement process, there are global actors and players who are very much engaged in concentrated and tangible projects in the region, while at the same time pushing their political, in some cases also security agenda forward. The geostrategy of the EU starts and ends in its doorsteps. For us liberals, there is only one geostrategic approach, which is in recent years it was not used enough nor properly, and that is enlargement policy. A path towards the EU possesses a considerable challenge for democracy, as it creates a barrier to developing and in improving public policy. The COVID pandemic has only widened the gap between communities across Europe and eroded citizens' trust in the EU as well as of national governments. The Conference on Future of Europe creates opportunity to bring the EU issues to the public agenda and spark interest in Europe's future in all segments of the society. Exposure to information on European politics and engagement in political discussion are factors that increase citizens' interest and engagement in the European affairs. That's why, indeed, also I am so proud that we, European liberals, are again a responsible front runner in Europe defending the position that the people of the Western Balkans cannot be excluded from the debate of the future of Europe. It is of a great importance and very symbolic that the kick-off of this debate starting today in Sarajevo, in the heart of the Western Balkans. So, my dear friend Hans van Baalen would say, let's move forward together. So, let's do it together.
Thank you, Roman, and thank you very much reminding us of these words of Hans van Baalen, let's move forward together. And when Hans was saying, let's move forward together, he didn't mean only the politicians. He was a man of the people. And when he thought of moving together, he wanted to involve as many people as possible, as many representatives of different nations and cultures together. So that is why today I would like to honor, first of all, the presence of those who are from here, from Bosnia and Herzegovina, present in the room, but also those from the region who have taken the opportunity to travel to Sarajevo. I know it's not the easiest place to come to, but to be together with us in person, like our friends from Slovenia, Croatia, Montenegro, Serbia, Bulgaria, and other parts of the region. I would like to honor among us also the presence of Mr. Evita Puljak, recently elected mayor of Split, the second largest city in Croatia, and perhaps one of the most beautiful cities in this part of the world. At the same time, I would like to welcome everybody who follows us online, who unfortunately who could not be together with us in Sarajevo, but has the opportunity, thanks to the technology, to be part of this first pan-European debate about the future of Europe. More than 70 persons have registered to join this event from all across the continent, which is an excellent thing. And this is why I have this gadgets in front of me, not in order to have communication with somebody else, but to follow that everything goes well on Zoom. And we want to integrate you in the debate. We do not want you just to follow what is happening here. So I would like to invite the technical partners in the room to help us with launching a poll on the Zoom to ask our followers a simple question. Our panelists perhaps can see it in front of us. The question is, do you see the Western Balkans as a future member of the countries from the Western Balkans as a future member of the European Union? And well, those on the Zoom can see the results in short. We can immediately from here, the panel, have a privilege to see. And basically there is anonymous response. Everybody believes that the Western Balkans will be integral part of the European Union. It gives us actually a great start to understand that this debate does make sense, and it does make sense to start here in the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina. I would like to introduce to you, so maybe we can close the poll and announce the results, so that I can move on and introduce to you the extraordinary ladies and gentlemen that are together with us stimulating the debate. We are not going to talk among ourselves. We have among ourselves elected by the citizens representatives on national and supranational level present with us. I would start from my immediate right side. We have Marijana Puljak. She's co-president of the political party Centar in Croatia and member of the Croatian National Parliament. Next to us is Sabina Cudic, who is from here, from Sarajevo, from Bosnia and Herzegovina, politically active for quite some time, but at the moment she's chairwoman of the Central Board of Naša Stranka, the Liberal Party of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and she's member of the Federal Parliament of Bosnia and Herzegovina. And We have representatives from also a younger generation of European members of parliament. Ilhan Kyuchyuk, who welcomed you here in his home region in the Balkans, originally coming from Bulgaria. So, my dear friends, I would like to actually cut here short my introductory note and move on with the debate. So, I started the presentation from left to right. I will inverse the discussion. And Ilhan, may I actually start with you? The Conference on the Future of Europe, who actually provides us this opportunity to have the debate about the vision of our joint European home, was supposed to start in 2000. It was postponed because of the pandemics for 1 year, but in this 1 year, a lot of things happened. The world has changed. It's not anymore the way it was before. Now, the conference will last only 1 year, 12 months. And within these 12 months, we need to come up with creative ideas about the future of Europe. After the unfortunate passing of our late President Hans van Baalen, you had the opportunity to take over the co-leadership of the third largest political force in Europe, the ALDE party. And as I mentioned, you're among the younger generation representatives directly elected to the European Parliament. From all this background that you have and all the knowledge that you have, could you share with us what should we expect from this conference on the future of Europe?
First of all, I think it should be a different conference because we had a lot of exercise when it comes to the future of Europe. We had an exercise when we consulted people, we had an exercise when we wanted to change the treaties, and we didn't succeed. We have our successes, but also we have our failures. We remember the Dutch referenda and the French referenda where people said no. We don't want more Europe, in a sense that we don't want to deepen the cooperation, we want to reform European Union. I think the debate is more or less the same. We don't have the question in front of us whether we need more Europe or less Europe. Certainly we have the answer given by the citizens, even in the last election, that we need more effective, more efficient European Union that delivers on big projects, but also delivers on a daily basis. And that is the expectation coming from the member states and most importantly from the citizens. And that's why we decided to start this exercise in a different way, not from the top down, giving exercises or guidelines as we speak in European institutions with technocratic, bureaucratic language or even red lines, but starting to listen to citizens. And where we'll go with that, I don't know, but we can go far away. At least we can shake a bit the European institutions, we can shake the framework, because we know the answer already. The European Commission will say, well, we're going to listen what will come from the member states, and European Parliament will say, no, we want treaty change, and European Council will say, no, we are not ready, we need the competencies. We have our competencies, we care about health, we care about education, and we don't want to transfer more power to supranational structures. But what is the reality? The reality is completely different. The COVID crisis and a lot of more will come. We had a failure on migration, we have a failure on financial issues, on financial crisis in Greece, in Cyprus, in several member states, where the outcome was clear. We need to do more, and we need to do more together, in a sense that we need to bring more opportunities and more solutions to the European citizens. And I see that as a great opportunity. If the citizens are giving us that role, and we need, as a parliamentarian, I need that perspective from the citizens, and they will instruct me, they will give me a clear mandate that I have to change something. I have to change something for their interests. And with that mandate, I can go to the Council, I can go to the European Commission. And we don't need to debate this only in European Parliament or in the official structures of the Union. We need a debate coming from the roots. And I'm happy that we are starting this one. Of course, we need certain ideas, and we'll come there. The citizens will talk to us, will take their ideas, and will bring it to the official institutions. And the institutions will take the decision, not the Agora, but the created institutions by the citizens as the fathers of European Union projected and set it up 70 years ago.
Thank you, Ilhan. Indeed, shaking up Europe the way we know it and moving forward together. Sabina, you would agree it's not insignificant that ALDE and Lipsin have decided to actually launch formally the discussions about the future of Europe from here, from your native city, from your native country, Bosnia and Herzegovina. We have to admit the reality. Bosnia and Herzegovina is considered as a potential country that would join the European Union, a potential candidate, but it has formally not started the process yet. And some people would even say maybe even Bosnia should have its own conference on the future of Bosnia and Herzegovina taking place. You're also from the younger generation of active politicians. You are chairwoman of the central board of the most progressive political force in Bosnia and Herzegovina, Naša stranka. First, tell me, what is it that you as politician, but also a citizen of Bosnia and Herzegovina, think about this decision of ALDE to have the first event, the start of the discussion about Europe here in Sarajevo? And what do you wish from this conference? What do you expect as a politician?
In many ways, when you think about the size of Sarajevo, and as you rightly pointed out, the long way that ahead of us in terms of the EU path, and a very, and I would say a very shaky one, and with unforeseeable future and how long this path will last, it actually makes no sense when you think about it. Why Sarajevo? It's a small city, 300,000 people in the center of Western Balkans, with a relatively unstable political situation in Bosnia and Herzegovina that is now almost perceived as such permanently. But then at the same time, I deeply believe that the destiny of Sarajevo is direct, and the destiny of Europe are directly intertwined, and that they are inseparable. And I think in many ways Sarajevo is both the European past and the future. So many challenges that we are facing, that the EU is facing in terms of vision and the future and the mission and kind of answering the big questions. What is the EU? Is it going to remain permanently a political superpower, an economic dwarf, or are these things, an economic superpower and a political dwarf, and in terms of common foreign and security policy, et cetera, and all these challenges and the main questions that the EU is facing. Some of these answers will be found in the Western Balkans and the vision that the EU can put forward both for the Western Balkans and its position in the rest of the world. So that in some ways Sarajevo is the most logical place where to initiate this debate and where to start, in the kind of center of the difficulty and the center of the challenge. Coming from Bosnia and Herzegovina, as you pointed out, as a politician, what do I expect from this conference? I expect from this conference the same thing that I expect from my students, from my son, from my husband, from my colleagues, from my political party. That is a brave vision, and certainly a braver one that's been being put forward in the past years. And I think in the moment when not so benign superpowers are waking up and increasingly looking at the EU and the Western Balkans, where the position of the EU is, let's not go there now, it's not a topic of today's discussion, but certainly the question mark finds itself above the EU. What is the EU and what is the brave vision? Is it normative superpower? Is it any longer normative superpower? What kind of superpower does it wish to be? And to answer the big question of the citizen participation, I would dare to say, and I'll finish with that it's not up to citizens necessarily to provide the vision. It is for citizens to be inspired by our vision. And there is a reason why we aim to be called leaders. If we wish to be leaders, then we need to lead, and we need to provide at least the options of visions that citizens can choose and ascribe to or reject, for that matter. So I do believe in the two-way communication, but I think there is a greater responsibility on us than citizens, and I think in that sense, to put forward brave vision, it's actually up to us. And then not to expect citizens to kind of accept the concept that I think in Bosnia and Herzegovina also exists. I would call it a dinosaur politics, where there is a huge bureaucratic body, we certainly have it in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and a tiny brain. Tiny brain in the sense of a tiny vision and gigantic bureaucracy. That's something that I think increasingly citizens reject, and they wish for braver visions that we've certainly seen in European Union when we think about it. In 1945, to put forward ideas after the biggest bloodshed on this continent is literally spectacular. Let's do something together, but let's do something spectacular together. Thank you.
Thanks, Sabina. So basically, citizens, ideas, strong union, leadership. And that leads me to Marijana. You come from neighboring Croatia, which actually 8 years ago, was the last country to join the European Union. And since then, actually, the club has shrunk, as the United Kingdom, unfortunately, decided to join the European Union. So Europe is not anymore what it used to be when Croatia joined. Yet a number of countries from this region aspire from the bottom of their heart to be part of the club. Now you're a member of the national parliament in Croatia, but you're not one of those politicians who started from the political youth organizations. You started from civic activism. So this is how you launched yourself in politics. And you didn't stop there. Once you got elected in the parliament, you were engaged in civic initiatives now at the local elections that you had in Croatia, and you engaged successfully. You managed to win together with Evita and present a progressive liberal agenda. Now, from your vision as political and civic activist, and as this entire conference is about engaging the citizens, do you expect that future of Europe will be more citizen-friendly, citizen-oriented? And are you optimistic or pessimistic about this engagement, given that there is also a surge of populism across Europe, including your native Croatia and other countries in Southeast Europe? I hope that the technicians will allow you to be part of the discussion.
Okay, I can. Okay, thank you.
Be the star, hold the microphone. Yeah.
Okay, it's a bit even easier like this. So, first of all, thank you for inviting me here to this conference, and congratulations for the organizers to organize such an important thing here in Sarajevo. First of all, when you ask me, am I optimist or pessimist, I always saying that I'm optimist. I'm always answering those questions that I'm optimist about the future, because I really truly believe that the future will be, of the whole world, if you see it, it will be really, really great, and we have to put all our efforts into it. And you said it right, Centar Party started as a civic initiative. We started even in 2010, in 2013 when we joined the city council as a civil initiative, but 2 years afterwards we then registered political party, because we saw that it is good to start as an activist, but then you have to have organization, strong organization, a strong number of people, and to raise an organization that can really build all the public policies and all the things that you want to implement into society. So now we are a political party, national party, but I wouldn't say that it's a choice between, you know, civic initiatives and political parties, either one or other. I think that we have to work together, and we show it by example. Even now in local elections in Split, we joined forces with also one strong civic initiative in Split. We joined forces together on these last elections, and we won. And today, one of the representatives is also deputy mayor, and we are governing the city together. So I think that, and I always, I'm always saying that everybody should join, you know, and engage into all the kind of activities if we want to improve our society. So whether is it civic initiative, whether is it, I don't know, platforms that are now arising all over the Europe, and any kind of political organizations, but it is important, what do we want to change? You know, the subject, the matters, the issues that we are resolving, that is the main topic. Whether is it a civic initiative or political party, at the end, it's how we build our institutions all together that will give us and give to our citizens some. They have to feel safe. They have to trust our institutions, and if we are able to provide them with that that kind of trust, then they will believe us that we want to really change the world to the better. And if you ask me about the future of the Europe, I really believe that the future of Europe is to be united, to be strong, and to show to our citizens that if you watch it today, Europe, we can say that probably it's the best place to live in the whole world today. The best conditions, the best ways of life, no matter pandemic, no matter all the crises that we are currently in. But Europe is still the best place to have a life. So let's keep it that way, and let's build our institutions in that way.
Thank you very much, Marijana. And I can just say I follow you on social media, and what you're saying actually is very true. You don't talk about high politics in what you're posting, and when you're communicating with the citizens or with everybody, you talk about local issues that bother citizens and try to solve them. So it is about serving the citizens, and this is actually why this continent is so good, because it's oriented towards the citizens.
Because they always ask, you know, what's in it for me? You know, am I satisfied with the way that I live and my surroundings and my neighborhood?
Thank you. And I can say I'm actually a happy moderator. First of all, we all agreed we are going to remove our ties because we want to talk with the citizens in a friendly way. We want to actually show that there is no barrier between those who are political representatives and the citizens. It's, after all, Friday after work, and you are with us here, and also we have audience online. So I'm also happy that there are no political speeches. That's what makes us different from these formal conferences on the future of Europe, when they come out and read you an entire statement and they read it. It's an open discussion from the mind and from the heart. But it's also good because we are turning to you, the audience, the citizens. So I would like to turn the floor to you for making questions, comments, or even giving ideas. So I would like to invite from the audience 2 or 3 interventions. As I said, it could be question, it could be comment, or it can be idea, but I would like to invite you to follow the house rules. And that is, first, you present yourself, who you are by name. Second, you tell us from which country or organization you come from. And third, to whom do you ask the question or your comment or the idea? Who do you expect to answer? Please do it in English, as this is the official language of the event. So I would like to invite the technical support, the colleagues who are also helping tirelessly, to pass the microphone to those in the audience who want to intervene. So please first raise your hand so that I can see. Don't be shy, this is your event. Ivica, I was able to see you. Perhaps you're the tallest, or you're smiling as well. I would like to recognize your presence and invite you to come up to the lecture, to the podium.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to break the ice. So my name is Evita Puljak. I'm freshly elected mayor of Split since 85 days. So not even 100 days has passed. Yeah. Well, that was surprising for me, as for everybody. I just, I'm actually a scientist by my, I'm actually an engineer by my primary education. Then I turned to physicist. Then I'm actually a particle physicist, and I was working for 27 years at CERN in Geneva, you know, where there is this big accelerator. And I have participated, actually I led a team that found the Higgs boson, one of the teams that found the Higgs boson, that's a special particle. I will tell you about it later on if you're interested. And then, as Marijana said, we started in politics since almost 13 years now. And we slowly learned the politics. And what I realized at the end, that the politics is much more complicated than physics. Physics is easy. You can calculate everything. But in politics, you can't calculate anything. So you can't be sure in anything. So, and then as we were learning and we participated first, we wanted to build a school in our neighborhood. And eventually we did it. Well, we didn't, but we pushed our local government to do it 10 years after we started the politics. But then, as Marijana said, we realized that in order to do something better, you have to get involved in the real politics. So we found a party and everything else. Then, a few months ago, we said, okay, let's try for the local elections. We tried already twice. And let's say, well, let's try the third time. And in the beginning of these elections, I was fourth in the polls, and then slowly we were raising, and at the end we won. And what actually surprised me, it didn't surprise me. I'm one of the biggest optimists in Europe, I would say. I'm 2 meters high and 100 kilos. It's difficult to be bigger optimist than me. And I really think that the world will be better. And actually, we live today in the best period in the history of the world, and it will get even better. And why I'm saying this? Because if you extrapolate what happens since 200 years up to now, and you just imagine how the world will be in the future, it will be better and better. The whole world will actually live in the liberal democracy. It will be sooner or later, but we will fight for to be sooner, particularly in this region here. But what surprised me, what was a bit, surprising for everybody else maybe than to me, is that we won these elections by being optimistic about the world, about the future, about the European future as well. And then people instead, they accepted it. They accepted a little bit different message than the message from the usual politicians, that everything is wrong, everything will be, the future is scary, we should change everything, etc., etc. And the fact is actually we don't need to change everything. Our modern world is based on three pillars, let's say: humanism, science, and reason. And there is nothing particularly wrong with these pillars of the modern world. So we don't need to change everything. We don't need even to make spectacular reforms, because our institutions are strong. Institutions in Europe, okay, we have some problems. We always have problems. But these problems are not spectacularly difficult. And the one thing that we shouldn't do is we shouldn't scare our young people. We should prevent them. We should keep them optimistic about the world, because there is all the reasons to be. And we here in the region, I think that we should pay special attention and care about the young generations. I'm not young anymore, I'm 52. That's 1/3 of my life already expired. But I consider myself as the older generation, because I lived in the former Yugoslavia as well. But this young generation, we have to build the future of the region on them, and we shouldn't scare them about the future. And I think that's the most important, well, at least most important message that I like to spread when I talk on political conferences, that we should be realistic about the world today, we should be realistic about the future, and that future is bright. And I hope that we will soon be all together again in Europe, in this region, and I will do my best that it happens sooner than later. Thank you.
Hvala lipa, Ivica. I'll come back to your wise words later when I will ask the honorable members of the panel to comment. Anybody else? Yes, please. I can see one hand from the back, so please come to the stage. The thing is, the light is in my face, so I can't recognize all the faces in the audience.
Thank
Please
you very
present
much.
yourself as well. And
Yes, of course. I wasn't expecting to be asked to come in front of you to talk in the front row, but thank you very much. Ioana Bățeacă, I come from Bucharest and I represent USR Plus today here in Sarajevo. So I have an idea based on something that happened to me today. So I figured if the universe still wanted me to come here after I almost lost both of my flights, maybe I should pass on the wisdom of what I was thinking in the airport today. So when we think about Europe, one of the fundamental things that we think about Europe is being able to move from a city to another city, from a country to another country with ease, like getting on an airplane and being in a completely different country in 1 or 2 hours and just like have a city break and come back very easily. But here in the region, we have some technical difficulties with getting around. Like for me, to get from Bucharest to Sarajevo, I had to take a connection flight. I had to travel for half a day. And I think that if we want to be more integrated and have our communities discover each other's, then the first thing that we need to do is to actually fix the way how we move from one country to the other. Because as I said, freedom of movement is actually one of the things that defines us as Europeans. And I feel like this is very important for me and maybe is something to think about as well to you. Thank you very much.
thank you very much, mulțumesc, and thanks for making the effort to come all the way from Romania. As you said, it's quite challenging to travel. And I would open for the third question, comment. Perhaps somebody from Bosnia and Herzegovina? Yasmina, I see you're communicating. Maybe you can communicate to us, so please come to the stage.
Hello, everybody. Hello, citizens, and hello, dear liberal friends. I didn't expect to speak here today. I actually wanted one of the younger citizens to say something. But as the previous speaker said, I would also like to reflect on a very important issue that we need to comment on that is related to the freedom of movement. And that is one country that is underrepresented here, and this is Kosovo. I don't know if you are aware of the difficulties that people from Kosovo, for example, young scholars, journalists, artists, they have to go through to get a visa for the Schengen area. And even my country, unfortunately, does not recognize their passports because of the issues that they have. And I really want us to reflect as liberals, because freedom of movement should be one of our priorities, on the difficulties that as a Kosovar journalist would have had to come to this conference, that it's practically impossible for them to do so. I think that Kosovo is definitely definitely has all the conditions to get a visa-free travel to the Schengen area, and this is something that needs to be addressed. So I wanted to stress this out. Thank you.
Hvala ti puno, Yasmina. Thank you very much for raising this important issue. So after this round of 3 questions, let's reflect a little bit. Basically, we got the winning scenario from Split, and it was goddamn difficult to win after so many years in Split. From outside perspective, Evita tells us it was quite easy. Just be real optimist and 3 base pillar, like humanist, science, and rational. So, Ilhan, is that the winning concept for the future of Europe? How does it sound to you?
Oh, certainly had wise thoughts, and we should reflect them carefully. But listen, I think we do expect a lot from this conference, and rightly so. We do expect because it's time when European Union is transforming itself, but the world is transforming itself as well. And for that, I think we need simple priorities. one of the simple priorities could be building full-fledged democracy. And this goes giving a more power to the European Parliament. And I'm not talking about only as a parliamentarian sitting in my office in Brussels or Strasbourg. We are the only parliament where we vote about the budget, we implement all the budgetary roles, we can control a bit, but that's all. And the second thing, we are the only parliament in the world where cannot really legislate. We have our speaking time, we do our activities internally, but we cannot propose a legislation. And as the one saying, I do remember from my childhood, we never really know what is in the sausage. And the saying goes, we don't really want to know what is in the sausage, but I think we really want to know what is the substance and what is the hygienic standard in the sausage. And that brings me to the point of transparency. European citizens are expecting much more transparent approach from European institutions. If we want to be trusted, we want to trust to our institutions, and for that, certainly we need a clear leadership. A clear leadership should go also from the ideas coming from bottom to the top. When do we do something in Brussels, rightly citizens are asking, but who is the Council? Who is the Commission? What is the role of the European Parliament? We should have a clear leadership where we can answer strategic and important questions. Otherwise, we cannot go further with ambitions. We can talk about ambition, but we cannot achieve a lot in the European scale, but also we cannot play an important role globally. And I'm finishing with that. One of the US presidents was saying, speak slowly, but have a stick in your hand. You can go further with that. And for that reason, I think European Union should think really seriously about its defense. Building a defense union, building a capacity where we can certainly protect our interests, but also build a unity among values. Let's be realistic. We live in European Union where rule of law is not certainly reflected and respected, I would say. We have countries like Hungary or even Slovenia where autocracy, kleptocracy has taken over. And if we want to build a trust among each other, we need to have a full-fledged rules based on values. Americans did it in the 20th century. They built a democracy based on values. But in the 21st century, I think we should see it as a century of European Union, where we can have values-based approach for all the citizens, and that could be the new base of reshaping European Union.
Great. And in this value-based Europe, we had this great intervention from our friend from USR from Romania. It was brought about the problems of transport and communication. It was said clearly that it's not a science fiction, but it is a nightmare to come from Bucharest to Sarajevo by car. There are no highways, God forbid, there are no high-speed rail connections. But also within Bosnia, you have challenges to travel from one part of the country to another part of the country. Unlike that, we see in the developed parts of Europe that there is mass communication between the people, which facilitates the interchange. How do you see that from Bosnian perspective?
Prior to coming here an hour ago, I was interviewed by two young people. They're here today. Two young people from Brussels, one coming from Italy, and one young man coming from Italy, and a young woman coming from Spain. And I was asking them about their careers in Brussels and how come they're doing this job, and they told me a little bit about their travels before this, and I said, what a luxury for a young Italian and young Spanish person to be working in Brussels, following their dream. Maybe they'll be traveling somewhere else after that. It's a luxury that a large majority of young Bosnians do not have. How many young Bosnians or how many young people from the Balkans, excluding Croatia because it's a member of the EU, are working in Brussels? Comparably to other EU members, of course, these numbers are minuscule. I got married in New York to a Kosovar because it was easier for us to get married in New York than to get our family to visit from Bosnia to Kosovo or from Kosovo to Bosnia. We literally couldn't get our parents to go to other country because our countries do not recognize, I mean, Kosovo has a strict visa regime, and Bosnia and Herzegovina not only does it not recognize Kosovo, but it literally recognizes no travel documents by people from Kosovo, and my son hasn't seen his grandparents in over 2 years. So these are the issues that young people here are facing. And in that sense, I genuinely, deeply agree with the vision of optimism. I would not be sitting here, I would feel like a hypocrite. Any politician who's a pessimist is a hypocrite, because why are you a politician if you don't believe that you can provide a better future? However, I think the liberal vision needs to be the answer to fear propagated by the right wing and by the populists. And I'm sure you will agree that in Western Balkans, fear is the most common currency. You can use it in any country of Western Balkans. And the right wing hijacked fear and hijacked it and uses it against the youth. Because if you have nothing to offer, then it's easier to scare young people than to excite them with the vision, to excite them and to support them and to make them kind of, to get the chair to the table and say, here is your chair, and you deserve to sit at the table and discuss this future with us. So in that sense, I think liberal vision needs to be a brave, a visionary answer to that fear, particularly in Western Balkans, but in Europe as well. Because I think at the moment, I mean, my vision would be for every young person in Europe, if you wake them up at 4 a.m. and say, what is the difference? What is the remarkable difference between a liberal vision of Europe and, you know, the increasing populism or right-wing nationalism and so on, that they should know? And the question is, once it becomes kind of foggy who's advocating what, and one side starts flirting with the other, I think these young people lose. So in that sense, in no shape or form would I be advocating for pessimism, but I think liberalism needs to be the answer, and needs to be a brave answer, and not a quiet, shy answer from the back. Thank you.
Thank you. Marijana, you wanted to comment on this. And I mean, as a matter of fact, there are initiatives. Croatia wants to join Schengen, right? And it seems with all this bureaucratic way that Brussels is stuck, perhaps Croatia will be punished by the nonsensical veto against Romania and Bulgaria joining Schengen, so you might suffer and not be able to deliver, just like Albania is suffering now because of nonsensical Bulgarian veto on Macedonian accession talks. In parallel, there are some also discussions in the region about open Balkans integration and stuff like that. So what is your view on this?
What I wanted first to comment about the optimism and the way the younger generations think. I want to pass on one result of one research that is done in Croatia a few years ago by our Institute for Social Sciences, that they interviewed several thousand of younger pupils, students of age 15, 16. And they had a survey, and the questions were around their future. What do they think about their future? How will they embrace the future? What is their position? Will they be happy or unhappy? Are they certain for their jobs and stuff like that? And the surprising results were, it was done in Croatia, and someone would expect that, I don't know, they have fears, they are afraid for their jobs, I don't know, because, you know, the media and everything, we are always surrounded by that, you rightly said, by that fear that the future is uncertain and we have to be scared and stuff like that. But the surprising results were that majority of the young people were sure that their future is bright, that they for sure will find a job, they will have excellent life, that the future for them is really bright and optimistic. And when they asked, is it in Croatia? They said no. That's the point when you have, European Union without boundaries. So you see your future, there is no limitation. You will find your place in life, among maybe other countries if you are not happy in the country where you live in. Of course, we have to fight, to bring even in Croatia to keep those children in Croatia, because they find that their future is also bright within the Croatia. But when you ask I wanted to say, when you ask younger generations, they are not afraid. They somehow live in their own digital world. They are not, you cannot find them on Facebook, you can find them maybe on some other social networks that are not really accessed by these political messages. And that is also one challenge for us, and one maybe sometimes obstacle to us, because we cannot reach them, maybe these younger generations. We have to find a way how to get them involved and also transfer our messages to them, and also learn from them what they want from their future. But to come here, come back, of course, yeah, of course, it's. I think the way that we have to see our future here in Western Balkans and in Europe is really to, we had several now exposés here about this, that traveling, free travel is really one of the main, I would say, conditions to work together better. It's not, we came from Split, which is 250 kilometers. It took us, I don't know, 5 hours to come here. It's not normal, So one message, I think that from this first conference that ALDE organized is also, let's work together how to travel more easily, and how to find a ways how to work together more easily.
Actually, Marijana, I think when you were answering about the survey of the young people from the region, the 15, 16 years old, I think it matches with the surveys in the rest of Europe, be it Norway, UK, or the European Union. It does answer the question about these blockades that are happening at the moment for Croatia or Bulgaria, Romania joining Schengen, or Macedonia or Albania starting the accession talks. It seems like the politicians, those who are in government, are being stuck with the fears of the older generations rather than focusing on the future and listening to what the younger people want and expect. It seems all these vetoes are a reflection of policies from 30, 40, 50 years ago, rather than serving those for who these policies are supposed to be in the future. So I think you answered it brilliantly. It's not a political escape to say that, but is a matter of fact. Come on, guys. You're creating policies for the future, and you're not creating policies to bring us back, make Europe great again, or whatever. Let's bring the great Europeans who are following us online to the debate, because we said this is a hybrid event, and we want to make sure that everybody is given the floor. I see among the participants bureau members of ALDE participating, including member of the House of Lords from the United Kingdom and also Vice President from Denmark. I would actually like to invite the Vice President of ALDE, Henrik, from Denmark, to be connected to us. Hey, Henrik, good to see you. Happy to see you on the screen. Would have been happier to have you here with us, but please go ahead, join this discussion online from Denmark.
Hi, Emil. It's a great experience.
I hope we can hear you, we can see you on the screen, and I hope the technical support will help us hear your voice too.
Okay, so what about now?
There you go. Hey, Henrik.
Super. Nice to be with you, Emil, and nice to be with all of you. Although, of course, I would have preferred to be in Sarajevo myself, but hopefully COVID will allow us to meet in person in Sarajevo, even though it will take much longer especially if you go by car from my country in the north of Europe. I'm from Denmark. I'm originally from the Liberal Party Venstre in Denmark, and I've been a vice president of ALDE for some years. And I really look forward to this ongoing discussion on the future of Europe, because we have to inject energy into our community as we go along, because otherwise it gets stagnant, and we will experience, like we do in my country, Denmark, that people start taking Europe and the European Union and the benefits of the Union for granted. And we have to energize our community. And I think we have to do this, as it has been said, there's a division of labor. We as politicians must be able to put up leadership to show the citizens which way Europe can develop. But in that process, it's vital that we listen to what the citizens feel, what they have to say. So we definitely should be very much listening to the concerns of the citizens, because if we do not listen to the citizens and take their worries seriously, then they will definitely not support our ideas of Europe. Now, as I said, in Denmark and many other places in Europe, I'm afraid that we take Europe too much for granted. Those who lose the relationship to Europe really can feel the difference. And now I'm talking about our friends in Great Britain and Northern Ireland. And particularly in that part of the Union, you used to have serious problems in the relations between Great Britain, Ireland and Northern Ireland. And what we saw over the decades was that the unfortunate conflict and troubles in Northern Ireland somehow got dissolved in the European Union, because the peoples of Great Britain, United Kingdom and Ireland sort of became part of a bigger union. And that brings me to my question. Now that we're in Sarajevo and with our very good friends in Nasa Stranka, how, being a politician listening to the citizens of Europe, now what are the aspirations of the people of Bosnia, Herzegovina and Sarajevo? Do they believe that they will have a better future in Europe because they have a dream that they will see there the local problems more or less disappearing or dissolved in a greater European entity? If that is the case, I think there will be some new energy which we could present to the rest of the European citizens in order to raise the spirit among, for instance, the Danish population when it comes to the European future. But I mean, I'm in no doubt myself, as it has already been said by Ilhan, for instance, there are a number of areas where we have to work closer together in Europe now, particularly after the developments of the relationship between Europe and the US, and the US retreating from the rest of the world. We definitely, from a security point of view, have to build a stronger Europe, apart from all of the other areas where we have to cooperate. But I would like to hear, what is the spirit in Bosnia-Herzegovina? Do you see membership of the Union as a way to move forward from the difficult situation you've been in for quite a while now?
Tusen tak, Hendrik. Thank you very much for logging in. And I would like to move now to neighboring Germany. Lasse is about to be connected with us. We are all, of course, following closely what is happening in Germany with the upcoming elections, because it is about the future of Europe. What happens in Germany seems to be one of the key elements about the future of our continent. So I'm not going to ask you, Lasse, about the polls or what is going to happen in the elections, but happy to have somebody from Germany joining us today. Please take the floor. I see you are online.
Thank you, Emil. I hope you can hear me. Well,
go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. I think for the German elections, I unfortunately don't have my glass bowl in front of me or my crystal ball to know what is really happening. But you can expect that we as liberals are fighting for an optimistic future over here, and that is also one point which I see and saw in the comments, especially from the mayor of Split, very positive, that the optimism is something I would consider unique compared also to other political families, because a conservative does not have to form a new bright future, but a liberal has to do so. And that is, for me, a strength we have as liberals over there. My name is Lasse Becker, as Emil has said. I'm from Germany, and they're a member of the FDP. I have actually 2.5 questions. The half questions is very similar to Henrik's question. What is the expectation from Sabina as somebody looking at the European Union with fresh eyes? What do we have to change to be more attractive as Europeans and as the European Union? But related to that is also my first question to Ilhan. When do you think that we as the European Union will have improved our internal structures so that we don't have to discuss postponements like we have to do right now, because the structures are partially missing at the European Union, to reconsider more EU member states if they fulfill the criteria? And what would be, from your perspective as a member of the European Parliament, the most important reform element which we need at the European level first to go there? And related to that, my second question to Marijana, what do you think about Alina? And there, as a German, I see the discussion we have here in Germany. There's often discussed the topic of a leaner European Commission, where we might not have a commissioner from every member state. But before getting in such a discussion, I would be interested in hearing what our partners in other countries around Europe think about that. I know we have discussed it at the ALDE level, but Marijana, your comment from Croatia would be interesting for me as well. How do you see a leaner commission? Would that be something where you as a Croatian would say, oh, that is something which is not really handable from a perspective from the Balkan? And that I would be very interested in your answers to those 2.5 questions. And I have to say that is also the great thing about modern communication and digitalization. I'm actually here on a family vacation on the North Sea in Germany, and still I can participate in the ALDE event, but I second Henrik that hopefully next time we will be able to meet for those town hall meetings in person again all over Europe. Thank you.
Thank you, Lasse. Can you just repeat the last question to Marijana a little bit more precise so that we can understand what do you expect from her?
Sure. There is a discussion, and I believe it is mainly a discussion of bigger European member states, or within bigger European member states, whether we should go to a more lean European Commission where we have less than one commissioner per member state. So something like 10 or 11 commissioners, like we usually have in many countries as the national government, with clear responsibilities, and not a system where every country has one commissioner. I know that discussion is going on in Germany, and I would be interested to hear the perspective, how that is perceived at the Balkan levels, whether it is perceived at all, and what your feedback would be there. Because I believe the perspective.
I think we got it clear.
Thank you.
Vielen Dank, and please send us good news on the 16th of September from the German federal elections. Viel Glück. Sabina, there was actually a fresh opportunity for the Bosnians in the questions to give your view. What would you change in Europe? What is, there was this saying, I think the Macedonian deputy prime minister was saying, went to the Brits once on TV, he said, like, well, you're living outside, so you don't know how cold it is outside. From the inside, while you're in the room, it's warm. When you're outside, you see how cold it is. That's why we want to join. There was a question, like, what does the EU membership mean to Bosnia? And how would you reshape Europe as Bosnia?
First of all, let me start by saying that in any survey conducted in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and that's one unifying factor for Bosnians of various ethnic prefixes, is that they want to join the EU. And that is actually remarkable, and we don't profit politically enough from that. because we are always looking for the common denominator in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and here is this gigantic, beautiful, amazing common denominator, and we are not profiting politically enough from the common denominator, we are not working enough towards the denominator, and we are certainly not as energetic about fulfilling the conditions as we should be, considering that it's unifying factor, which then us as liberals from Naša Stranka makes us believe that actually people who say that they wish to join the EU, politicians who are mostly ruling on a national level and who come with ethnic prefixes of nationalist parties, don't want to do it. They simply don't want to do it. Because most of them, they would be, by doing so, cutting the branch on which they're sitting, and to put it bluntly, most of them would potentially be in prison if we conducted a judicial reform. That would be one of the requirements of the EU path. But going back to more kind of optimistic vision of that, yes, young people, and as you said, they live in a parallel universe that we can't access because they don't see borders the way we do. They compare themselves not necessarily to a person in a village or a town or a city that is the closest to them, but they compare themselves to the rest of the world, not just Europe, but the rest of the world. They compare their universities, their classrooms, their professors, their lifestyles, their habits, the concerts that they go to, and they realize how little access they have. They realize that their friends are traveling on a train throughout Europe, something that they financially, politically don't have access to. So in that sense, so that's the optimistic news. Yes, there is a discrepancy between, an incredible discrepancy considering we are a democracy, between the political elites in Bosnia and Herzegovina and the youth and the general population that wishes to be part of they feel European and they want to be recognized as European. But fresh perspective from the outside of Europe, we genuinely, and not just coming from this no political option, I think, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, if they are genuine, which even if they're not, they officially do wish to join the EU. We want braver voices about the future of the accession process and the expansion of the EU. We want greater ambition and not looking inwards. And when I was saying, and it was a mild criticism, and I hopefully, but still understood when I said, when the voices of the liberals and the voices of the right wing become muddy and we don't know whose vision are we talking about, then those who suffer the most are liberals. And the liberal voters, and the results then show it in all European states. And I think that's what happened in UK. Speaking of UK, when there was no visionary answer to exit vote, and I think braver, unfortunately, oftentimes more confident in the vision, is the extreme right wing, and the extreme right wing is the loudest currently in the entire Europe. And I think we need a joint answer, a brave answer, and that means more things like this, more confidence within ALDE as well, more confidence with us in the region. What we are hearing from Croatia currently in Bosnia and Herzegovina is remarkably different from what we heard at this panel, at this gathering today. We hear extreme right-wing voices coming from social democrats. We hear blockades to Bosnia, and now currently, ironically, the biggest obstacle to Bosnia one day joining may come from Croatia. So in that sense, we need to be sitting more together. We need to take photos, send joint messages, give liberal messages to Brussels, joint messages coming from Belgrade, from Sarajevo, from Split, from Zagreb. We now have some of the most progressive voices coming from Croatia in some of the most visible positions in Split and Zagreb. We need to work together, and we need to join a dialogue with Brussels, and it needs to be a two-way dialogue.
Push more for this kind of joint efforts, right? And Ilhan, this was the sense of the question that I got. Shall we do some institutional reforms? Are they answers?
Certainly yes. And I was saying that right in my beginning. We cannot have a big picture without having big institutional reforms. And I think this was more a question to Marijana, but sooner or later we'll have a different understanding what is the role of the European Commission. We cannot have a European Commission with 30 commissioners sitting and duplicating their work. We have to have more operational European Commission and Commission ready to deliver. Let me start with the first actions we need. I think the European Parliament is getting more power in the last couple of years. And that is the good news for the European citizens, because they do believe in the European project mainly because of the European Parliament. European Parliament is representing the will and the voice of the European citizens. That is important. That goes to every parliamentarian, that goes to every national parliament. Secondly, I strongly believe that European Council cannot play that important role, because we know old style politics where politicians are sitting, debating or having a cigarette or cigar, and after that they are coming without any transparency announcing what is the final conclusion. This cannot be acceptable anymore from the citizens. We have to be much more transparent. We have to deliver and we have to announce at least in advance what we want to do in European Union, because we have the trust of the people. They give their votes to us, and that means that we have the trust, and we have to be responsible when we are handling their lives. And when it comes to concrete proposals, we want to get rid of veto rights where European member states can veto every single decision. We suffer a lot from that. Regionally, we suffer a lot from that. I mentioned several of examples. Globally, certainly we have to challenge the two big transformations, and I'm talking about Green Deal and digitalization, where Western Balkan countries can play an important role. We have a plan, and the plan is called Economic Investment Plan. We have IPA 3 already adopted by the European institutions, and the key question is how we can implement that big amount of money and who can be responsible for the outcome. We know in the previous examples that a lot of financial contribution came to Bosnia and Herzegovina, came to Western Balkans. Where is the efficiency? I'm not going to say that all the things done so far were not the right, but I'm saying that we should do more with such an amount and with joining forces together. And to conclude, Emil, on your remarks, nobody knows the region better than us. But if we attack each other, if we don't work together, if we don't have a common approach where we want to see the regional dimension, we're going to be the great losers. And I want to be realistic. I work on a daily basis in my capacity of standing rapporteur on North Macedonia, in my capacity as spokesperson for a new group on Western Balkans, together with you guys, with Roman, with Emil, with others. But there is no strong move when it comes to the enlargement. Even some political leaders sitting in our family are afraid from the word enlargement. And there is the key role for us, liberals in the region, to shake a bit Europe, Brussels, but also to shake a bit our family. And in that sense, this debate is playing a key role.
Bravo.
Thank you. Very important message, and it connects to what Lasse was asking. Marijana, is it possible to have a European Commission where not every member state is going to have a commissioner for whatever, as it seems to be at the moment? We don't even know who are the members of the European Commission and what exactly their jobs are. We as liberals stand for clear, lean government, but then it's Europe of nations nowadays. Every country must have a commissioner.
Yes, we have to somehow, even Ilhan said, we have to reorganize this because as liberals we always aim for efficiency. We don't want to have Europe. You know, when you build one organization, at some point in every organization you start to be too bureaucratic. So we are at that point in Europe, you know, where we need reforms just to be efficient, to have government that really serves the citizens, not, you know, to as sometimes if you ask citizens, they say, oh, they're just bureaucrats sitting in Brussels and, I don't know, enjoying themselves, they don't care about us. But I think in just reflecting what's been said now, in Croatia now, when we discuss about Europe, even among citizens, the main thing is how much money we will get from Europe. You know, European funds, national plan for recovery after the COVID, you know, how much money did we get in this. So the money, when you ask what does Europe means for you and the citizen, they say, oh, we will get European funds. That's the main thing. There's not enough, you know, a sense of European identity, of values. What is really making us Europeans? You know, what are the difference between, I don't know, Europe and the other parts of the world? And that is something that we have to build on. Also, when you said that from Croatia, you hear another not optimistic voices, and I agree completely with you that we have to work on it, that we silence these kind of voices that are telling us you can't do this or you can't do anything. We can do whatever we set our goals to, and if we work together, we can do it and we can achieve it. So when we say that we won in Split with Optimism, in Split, in the second largest city of one European country, if you see it like this, citizens were really fed up. They were really fed up with corruption, with criminal government so far, and they really wanted to see one decent government that will not, I don't know, steal from them, that will not lie to them, and they were fed up. And I think also in that's somehow that happened in Zagreb. That's maybe a way how to approach the citizen, to say, you know, we will not lie to you, we will not promise something that is not really realistic, but we will do our best that will change the life for you, that we will change, you know, the quality of life in your neighborhood. Citizens are always asking, what's in it for me? Currently in Europe, they see free travel, they can study, go to university where they want, they have, if you want, I don't know, no roaming, and so little things that they see that quality of life is improved for them. And that's how we can transfer our messages and show them, you know, what are the real joint values for all the Europeans. And that is something that we need to transfer to them.
Thank you, Marijana. We were supposed to last until 7:30, but as we started 15-20 minutes late, we are going to extend 15-20 minutes more. The floor goes back to you from the audience. If there is anybody who would like to comment or raise an idea or question. Yes, please, go ahead. As I said, you need to raise your hand up because the lights are really direct in our eyes. So please present yourself and be brief in 1 minute, so we can wrap up in 15 minutes. Thank you.
Norbert Cvijanov from Serbia, Nova Stranka, not a typical Serbian name, Norbert Cvijanov. Just before this meeting, I asked Jasmina Mrsho, how should I dress up, a conservative with tie or a free liberal? So I dress up like a free liberal.
Yeah, you're perfect for that.
Yes, thank you very much. Nevertheless, question regarding Serbia. The place for Serbia, is it in European Union? Definitely. But at the moment with this government, I'm not thinking that it is the best place. It would be, because the corruption would end, the organized crime, which is on the historical highest level with the government. But also, I do not want Serbia to be invited from the countries who are also breaking up European Union, like, example, Hungary, for example, which are in a way in a criminal businesses with the regime in Serbia, for example. Me, myself, as a human being, represent Europe 100% due to the fact that I have made some time ago DNA analysis of myself. So due to the fact that I am living in Serbia, I am a little bit Greek, Bulgarian, Scandinavian, Irish, Hungarian, Polish, Italian, also a little bit of Pakistani and Far East. So definitely a 100% European Union, also from Bosnia and Croatia, nevertheless. Serbia is at the moment, the biggest worry. I would like to be Serbia in the European Union because there will be more control of what's happening in Serbia. You are probably aware that we have the worst regime from the 90s today. So, but we cannot end without the help of the European Union.
Do you have any idea how to handle it yourself? You're from there, you're a citizen, right? What is your message to those who are following and listening? What do we do?
I would not like to be pessimistic because I have to be optimistic, definitely. At the moment, we have to unite against. So united Serbian opposition can only resolve with the help from abroad the situation what we have now. Unite as a united Europe also. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So speak up, get together, understand each other, and don't waste an opportunity basically to confront those who are trying to destroy the basic values that we fight for. Ilhan.
I think they have a great experience in Serbia in uniting against. We have tried, Jovan, in the last couple of elections, uniting against. Why we don't try something different this time? To unite for. Unite for more liberty, unite for more prosperity, unite for better economic standard, unite for European Union. Because we failed. When we have when we had these talks in Brussels, our strategy was mainly based on uniting against the regime, against the particular representative of the regime, against his people. Shall we try this time in a different way?
Thank you, Sabina. Shall we?
I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more. And I think Naša stranka is strongest when it doesn't pay attention, almost doesn't pay attention to the political context, and bravely advances forward, not against, but for. When we decidedly run the most optimistic, positive campaigns where we decide against, you practically have to tie your own hands not to type up negative responses, criticisms, anything that's going to make people more pessimistic about the future. So in that sense, I think people will know what you are against. But the question is, what are we for? And once we propose that, then we go from commentators, spectators, dissatisfied citizens into a leadership zone. And that's when we lead with a vision as opposed to lead with fear.
Thank you. As an ordinary European citizen, if I may comment as well, what's happening these days? People are watching. Let's say you sit somewhere in France or in I don't know, Slovakia, and you see the vaccines are being developed in the United Kingdom, and then you see the Americans are sending tourists to the space. And then you see the Chinese building 10,000 kilometers of high-speed rail and bridges that we can't even dream about in Europe, right? You see all these things happening outside of Europe, and in Europe we are talking about how do we shape our continent in terms of institutions, and how do we spread what we have at the moment? Where is the creativity? Where is the innovativeness? What is the best strategy forward in answering to those people in Slovakia, in France, in Zenica or elsewhere? Ilhan, what's the best strategy forward? How do we wake up that this continent actually has great potential to offer and show the rest of the world amazing news too?
You always ask me 1 million questions.
No, you're the optimistic one.
If you have $1 million, I can answer this question. Well, optimism is playing an important role, certainly, as we agreed, but also we spoke a lot about vision. Unfortunately, in this Europe, we don't have a visionary approach. We do a little bit here, a little bit there. We play a bit of tango. We promise something to Kosovo. If they deliver, we deliver, but they delivered already, and we are not ready to deliver our promises. We promise a bit to North Macedonia and Albania that they will start finally their negotiation talks, and the framework will be implemented, and we are not able to deliver. I think the major problem, major problem exactly that. We are good in naming and shaming, but we are not good in building a bigger picture and using the whole potential of the continent. And certainly, this geopolitical game should start from building a political structure inside the European Union. Without building a political structure, European institutions can be transformed to political institutions, not only to bureaucratic structure where a bureaucrat will take a decision, but real politicians elected by the citizens. And I'm going to my main point. The idea of the new Europe should be that we have a Spitzenkandidat. I don't like the German word because I don't understand. People are not aware what is behind it, not against the word as it is, but we should have a clear leadership where the European citizens will elect their own leader, and he or she can be responsible in front of them. In that case, US president can call to him or to her, and the question of Kissinger will be no longer valid. That is clearly important for the sake and the face of European Union.
So cutting red tape, getting together, forgetting about nitty-gritty stuff, and focusing on what really matters for the citizens to actually understand what is in service for them. To wrap it up more or less, Marijana, we started that you were active citizen, and this is how you started being active in politics. And this entire exercise is about citizens, bringing them in the debate. You are from Croatia, which is a member of the European Union, so you're part formally of the conference. What is it that you personally and the party will do in the next months in the run-up of the conference?
Well, of course, invite citizens to join this conference, to join all the platforms that are available now for them to reflect all the ideas and transfer them to the leaders. Also, be included in all these kind of conferences. I hope we will have also resources to organize one by our organization or joined or other liberal parties in Croatia. Because, you know, this participative government is what we, let's say, preach, and always inviting our citizens. Let's hear from you, let's hear your ideas. But I also agree with Sabina that when she said we have to give them vision, we have to be really leaders, and took our part as the leaders and provide them with one vision that will and one optimism that they will believe in. If they don't believe us, what we are talking about, and if they don't believe in the future that we are painting for them, they will not follow us, you know. So we will open all our channels for their ideas. We will invite them to join all these digital platforms, and as I said, I really hope that we'll have also the power within the party to organize one conference in Croatia like this. So really, I congratulate all these organizers for this conference. I hope that we encourage them to join other conferences that will come in future.
Super, great. So get engaged so that we can get more feedback and then make sure that the feedback is put into action. And Sabina, I mean, thank you for hosting us here in Sarajevo. What will be, we heard input from Denmark online and from Germany, and we have from other parts of Europe with us, and we know that we have a United Kingdom as well, and the rest of the continent with us. But as we are starting here from Sarajevo, and you have the privilege to be the host, what would be your message to the Albanians, Kosovans, Serbians, Montenegrins, Macedonians, and of course your native Bosnians? What is your message in this process of a conference of the future of Europe and the entire shaping of our joint future home?
First of all, I think we need to recognize that there is literally no better place on earth in terms of environmental standards, life expectancy, social welfare system than Europe, than the European Union. And I think we need to, besides all the critical analysis, recognize that and be proud of that. Once we recognize that, I think in terms of the region, we need joint progressive voices, not to politically calculate whether we will lose a vote or two domestically because we took a picture and sent a joint message with people from the region. I think people will be inspired by our capacity to collaborate, to have a joint EU path, to negotiate jointly, and to have progressive voices sit at the table with our progressive colleagues from Brussels and come up with joint visions for the path and as well as the European Union. So in that sense, welcome to Sarajevo, and I do wish we work more bravely and strongly and be the counterweight to the dominant kind of dark forces of fear and to provide a more optimistic vision jointly. Let's do it together.
Thank you, Sabina. That's very good. Let's throw it back to the audience that is online before we conclude. We prepared a poll for you to ask how are you planning to get engaged in the next months in the conference on the future of Europe. There are a couple of answers, including are you going to be active through your organization or party? Are you going to join the formal panels that are organized by the European institutions? Will you organize events yourself? Maybe you are not so much keen to be part, or you will ask your political representatives to do. So I can see the results are slowly coming in. We'll give 1 more minute. It's good that we have our online audience active and responding, which is very good, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who allow us to have this event. It is the European taxpayers who are helping us having this discussion, and we need to express our gratitude to all the citizens of the European Union for making sure that this event takes place. So I'll keep the poll open for the next 5-6 seconds, and then I will ask somebody from the team to help us read the results, because I can't. Okay, I can get it more or less. Let's close the poll and see what kind of responses we got within 1 minute. Majority of them are going to be engaged through the party or the organization they're members with, and it seems that there's also good interest to be involved through the other panels and conferences organized by the European Union. The least of you say, I leave it to somebody else. That's good. We know that we have an audience that is keen to be active in the next months. Please do so, because the future of the continent depends on your input. If you are loud and if you're vocal, then we're going to make sure that you're going to make sure that your political representatives will take note of your ideas and projects and be active in the political institutions where they are, national, international, or local, to make sure that they take place. Now, Ilhan, before we conclude, this we said was the first initial event of ALDE, the first Hans van Baalen town hall within the framework of the conference on the future of Europe. What's next? What we can expect within the next 9-10 months?
More will come. Not only from Western Balkans, but also from the member states of European Union, because we want to hear more from the citizens. And please be active. This is the key message. Come with your ideas, with proposal. It's a digital democracy. You are able to be active in 24 European languages. There is no geo-blocking, so Western Balkan countries can be active representatives, citizens of the Western Balkan countries can pose their ideas, can be critical on European Union. I'm critical on European Union because European Union is my family. you should be critical of European Union, because sooner or later you will be part of that family. And we all know whenever there is a problem in the family, should be solved together inside the family. So be active, be present, online, physically, give your ideas. It's time to reshape European Union. New European Union should have a defense capacity, should have better educational standards, better ecological standards, should play a more important role in the international affairs, should be closer to its own citizens, should be more transparent, should be the European Union of 21st century. I'm not okay that we live in the European Union with its own institutions belonging to the 20th century. We want to bring European Union up to date, up to 21st century, and our citizens are expecting exactly that from us.
Thank you very much, Ilhan. So message to all of you, please be proactive, because at the end of the day, it is our joint interest that we want to see the rest of the planet looking at Europe for examples and great news about technological, scientific, cultural, and other type of advances. So I would like to use at the end of the panel the opportunity to thank all of you who have traveled through difficult routes to make it to Sarajevo. I would like to thank the online audience who was active today, but also to everybody who was posing questions and comments before, just to mention few names like Jose or Anita or Helder or Marlene. Thank you very much for being proactive in the run-up to the conference. I would like to thank to the staff. I don't know why we always leave this for the end. You know, these events can never happen without those who are working behind the scene to make sure that everything happens, from the functioning of the microphones to making sure that the meeting room is set up well. But mostly, again, I would like to thank our panelists for joining us and engaging directly with the citizens. Please, let's continue this dialogue, to be open with each other. Don't be hesitant to speak out. Don't be like, it was not delivered to me, so I'm going to back off. Be proactive and make sure that your voice is loudly being heard. Change is possible. Split showed it to us. We have other good examples. Those who are here are more than welcome to join us for a cocktail. And all of you, please stay healthy and safe. And let's hope that this pandemic will soon indeed be over for all of us, so that we can meet each other in person. Thank you very much for your time.
And thank you for the really excellent moderation.
Thank you. It was totally my pleasure.